everybody, welcome back. My name is Jillian. Today I wanted to talk to you about 3 series that my children really loved and I really loved, which sometimes can be quite the challenge. First up is the Redwall series by Brian Jacques. There are slightly more than 20 books in this series, which is one of the reasons why I love it. There's so much to dig into that it will keep you busy for a long time. This is a fantasy adventure series following anthropomorphic woodland animals over a long period of time. So it's set in roughly the Middle Ages, and you're always in the same rough area, but the characters do change. So basically, there are these peaceful creatures in the woodlands, and there is a big bad that they then have to fight. And so there's courage and heroism and, everything that you would imagine in an adventure fantasy series about anthropomorphic animals. A couple things about Brian Jacques that I think really stick out in this story. The first is that he lived through World War II when food was not super abundant. So he is very imaginative when it comes to the meals that these animals eat. The second thing is that he once had a job where he read to blind children and just spent a lot of time around them describing surroundings and whatnot. So he is very, very good at describing scenes, especially food. And the food that woodland creatures eat wouldn't naturally be something I wouldn't think that would pique my interest. But the way Brian Jacques describes food, it has my mouth watering every time. So just to give you an idea of the writing. Opposite at the south trestle stood a magnificent blackcurrant pudding swimming in a peach-covered cream of whisked beech nut and strawberry, topped off with sugar-preserved sprig of maple. The east side was graced by a high, wobbling red currant jelly with flaked almond and chestnut suspended inside like a sunset snowstorm, and it was wreathed in yellow piped meadow cream. So to me, that just sounds absolutely decadent and wonderful, and you can really sense the time in his life when he was pining for food, and also his rich descriptions that he was able to give the children that he had worked with at some point in his life. So I highly recommend these. We all enjoyed them, and they're a lot of fun. The second series that I have for you today is Pax by Sara Pennypacker. This is a beautiful and devastating story about a boy named Peter and his fox, Pax. This takes place during wartime. Peter's father is going off to war, and before he does so, he tells Peter that he needs to return his fox to the wild. Peter does not want to do this, as you can imagine. So what happens is Peter and his father and Pax get into the car, they drive off to the forest, and there's this little tiny toy soldier that Pax loves to play with. They toss the toy soldier deep into the woods, Pax runs after it, and before he can retrieve it, the boy and his father get back in the car and they drive off. You can imagine how devastated Peter is and how confused and devastated Pax is. So this is a story about the journey to find one another again and the extreme devotion between boy and fox. And it really makes you think about what you want to happen and maybe what should happen. And it's just an overall really beautiful story about perseverance and love. Definitely there were tears shed. My children and myself, it was hard to read some of this. When this ended, I felt like it had reached a good conclusion. And so I was quite surprised when I saw that another one was out. So I'm interested to pick it up and see where it goes from here. But this book, can't recommend it enough. The final series that I want to recommend to you today is the Nevermoor series by Jessica Townsend. This is the first book in the series. I've read 2. I believe there are 3 out now, and I don't know if it's going to continue on. But this is a story about a little girl who is cursed. She was born on the unluckiest day, and she's basically blamed for everything bad that happens. If somebody falls down the stairs, she is blamed for it. If lightning strikes, she is blamed for it. She is convinced that she's going to die on her 11th birthday because that's what happens if you're born on the unluckiest day in the world. But instead, this man comes and whisks her away to this other world named Nevermoor. And he's trying to get her into this society called the Wondrous Society, which is a society for exceptional individuals. So she has to take part in a trial. It has a lot of magic. It's very much a story of found families. It's fun and engaging and gripping. I was pulled into the story from really the very first pages. I read it really quickly, devoured it, and my family loved it too. So that is it for series that I wanted to recommend to you today. I have a lot more series and standalone books that I want to share with you, which I will do over time. If you have a series or standalone books that you and your family have loved, please share them with me, because my family reads ravenously and we're always looking for more books to read together and enjoy together. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.